Greetings from the Cosmic Horrors. The stars are right once again, and great old ones allow us to talk about for 30 plus minutes H.P. Lovecraft, the horror writer who is a genre unto himself. I am your cosmic host, Mark Griffin, executive of the Lovecraft estate on Yawgmoth, joined in fact by two from the material world, David Guffey, who is actually currently on assignment in Louisville to locate George Fedder's printing business, and Richard Wilson, who has a lingering foot injury card he cannot get rid of. Our guests today are Martina Brindley and Sam Orndorff, and we are all here to talk about a board game called Eldritch Horror. So, Richard, why don't you explain what that game is?
All right. Eldritch Horror is a cooperative tabletop board game in which anywhere between, say, 2 and I'm not sure what the maximum number is, 8 players are able to choose different characters that have different types of attributes and stats and abilities and that type of thing, and you work together to overcome an Eldritch Horror conspiracy to bring the old ones or specific great old ones into existence and threaten the world, that type of thing. Goes through 3 different phases where you get to choose, what you want your characters to do, move them around the board, either individually or working together with the other players. And then the other phases are where you encounter the various creatures, or then the forces working against you get to then start making their moves on the board, and then begin again, at that point, to try to, again, stop the Eldritch Horrors from rising from the depths.
So what's this got to do with Lovecraft?
I believe as far as when we tested this out last week, what was the Lovecraftian entity that we failed to prevent his rise?
Azeroth.
Azeroth's in there. I believe Cthulhu's in there. There are a lot of elements from Lovecraft's mythos, particularly the Elder Gods, as far as that's concerned. Surprisingly, very few of the characters, the playable characters, are characters from Lovecraft stories, but they're archetypes that are similar, say, as far as a private investigator, and that's along those lines, as far as that's concerned. And then each of them are unique in their own way, so that working together, you kind of use your abilities together to accomplish your goals.
And we got to play this with Martina, who bought a copy of this. And how long have you had this copy?
I've had it since May 2020. So over a year, and we couldn't meet to play because of the pandemic. So, yeah.
So how'd you first hear of this game?
I heard about this from my sister, who is in Slovakia, and her boyfriend, because they love playing this game. And then I heard you all talking about H.P. Lovecraft, and I read few of his novels, so I just got interested, and it looked really complex and fun, and a good challenge. So I just thought it's a good game to get.
And you've regretted it ever since, haven't you? You've regretted it ever since, haven't you?
Well, I regretted that I bought it and then we couldn't play it for over a year. So
yeah. That was the hassle.
Yeah.
And so, Sam, what did you think of the game when you played it?
I really liked it. It was a lot of fun, and I liked that. I continued to think about the game even after were done and had gotten home, and how we could have played better the next time if we get to play it again. How ways to actually accomplish, not to give a spoiler, but we lost.
Yes, we failed to prevent the great old ones coming.
Yes, we had Azeroth arrive in the earth, and he scorched it completely.
Yeah. And,
sorry, Earthlings. We'll try better next time.
We didn't have a good grasp of game mechanics until it was too late.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of close though. Like we were chasing with the death, and we almost won if we didn't make stupid mistakes. Yeah. We'll know better next time.
Yeah. And so I know we looked up several videos, all of us did, to watch it, try to figure out the rules and all that. And it made it look very complicated. When we started playing, it wasn't anywhere near as complicated as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I noticed that it comes with these 2 rule books that you can see, and really you could just do it. That sort of makes it seem like it's going to be a lot more complicated than it is. I think it might scare people away, but really you could boil it down just to one small little pamphlet, I think.
Yeah, like again, reference card. I think we used on the back of it kind of has a kind of a reference sheet going through the different phases of the game, and we use that more really than flipping through the book and looking for specific things. It kind of guides you through. Okay, we're starting the beginning of a turn again, so this is what you as the players will do, and then these are the various things that you'll encounter, and then these are what the Eldritch conspiracy will be doing next.
Yeah, and it took us only several rounds, like 2 or 3 rounds, right, to kind of learn and know what we need to do. without having to look at the rule book.
And so, what was your favorite parts of the game?
I like the cooperative aspect because everybody had different abilities that their characters brought to the table, and you kind of realized when you tried to go one-on-one with the various monsters and whatnot that was an ill-advised thing to try to do.
Can you explain that a little bit better about the cooperative aspect?
Like for instance, my character was more kind of like a supportive character. He was able to restore players' sanity or to boost their combat if they were in combat with someone, versus say in other instances like
that is Baby Cthulhu speaking right now. So we pardon for the interruption, but when Baby Cthulhu speaks, we have to listen. Okay, you can resume now.
Versus, like, say, for, what was your character, the cultist, able to do?
She could kill cultist monsters.
Right, as far as more of an offensive ability. So as far as when you combine these things, particularly, I guess something else we left out, you could use one of your ability or your turns to try to acquire different objects or spells or books or weapons and those kind of things, and those can boost your skills and your attributes, and those can help you out in those confrontations as well.
Yeah, you really have to know your character, I think, to play it correctly, because I was doing things at first with my character that I shouldn't have been. I kept trying to collect the reserve things, but I shouldn't have, because I only had one dice to roll, and I just continued to lose, and I was wasting my action moves trying to get something that really obviously wasn't meant for my character, when I should have just, my character, his main action was that he could get rid of monsters without rolling or doing anything specific, and I should have been concentrating on doing that rather than using my actions to try to acquire items.
Your character had a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, because I don't. I think that had to do with I wasn't using him in the correct way.
Perpetually was getting struck with paranoia and madness, injuries and whatnot.
That. What you were saying, Richard, shows a lot how you need to cooperate more. Is when we started, we sort of, everybody went in a different direction. I think we were like, okay, well, I'm going to go here, and
I'm going to go investigate over here. I'll see you later.
And you really need to, you start out in different places on the board. It's right, your character, each character starts in a different place, but you really need to try to find out who's who and meet up. And
create teams.
Yeah, create teams based on who's who. Because my character was really weak physically, but his mental stability was high. He wouldn't be scared of monsters, but he couldn't really, fight very well, and he couldn't collect items. So I would need to be with somebody who is a little bit more, like Chris's character was an adventurer, and he ended up
physical abilities.
He had all these dice, so he ended up with like a stack of playable items that he could use.
We had all those people that he could have him join him.
Oh yeah. That's again another one of the things you can pick up with the allies, as far as you can have an ally card, which is kind of somebody following you around, helping you out. I believe he had, what was it, a Vatican missionary or something like that, and then that guy was going around helping protect his sanity and helping boost him in combat and whatnot.
Yeah, I had the same trouble with my character, but I don't know. I feel like because I was trying to focus on all the rules and try to, make sure that we're playing this right, that I wasn't focusing so much on the character and on the story as much, But yeah, my character was the psychic, so I didn't have very good strength abilities, so I was really bad at fighting, so I was just losing all the time. I somehow didn't require many assets, so until I finally got an X, then I finally was able to defeat few monsters, But yeah, it's kind of, you need to, I guess, learn to play it smart and know what you need to gain and when. And when you should, like, maybe prepare before you decide to go to a certain place and fight monsters, then you should, and close the gates that they came from, then we should probably prepare before, so, we have enough strength and have all the abilities to defeat them.
All right, explain about the gates. What were the gates?
So during the game, we pick random cards, usually they're called mythos cards, and they're very evil cards that always spawn more gates, and which means every time a gate opens on a random field, on a random space, you also have to put a monster in it. So usually as we were moving around and we defeated monster finally on 1 or 2 spots, we just got one of these cards, and then we had to put another 3 monsters out. So it's pretty distracting.
Quite a few monsters, and the gates were not like gates like a picket fence or anything. They were interdimensional gates.
Yeah, right.
It's to a horrible great beyond.
Yes.
Yes, and where are those cards? Like the way how maybe we could say something about how you fight the monsters. Like you have to test your will and your strength, and then each monster has like its own toughness, which you need to. It kind of you subtract the points. So usually you have to fight it more than just during one round, and other people who are there with you have to help you.
So very cooperative in that aspect there.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, one of the faults we didn't think of earlier. We were not really sure. Can I say like how we failed?
Go ahead.
Or how we trained, So yeah, as we played, we didn't really understand like why do we need to go to these gates and self-sacrifice and kill the monsters and close the gates, until we realized that these cards, the Mythos cards, the longer you play, the more gates they open, and every time the Doom track moves closer to 0, and you have to, it's like connected to how many gates are open. So we always had more and more gates open, which meant that the Doom track was moving closer and closer to the end of the world. So, and that's why we failed and died.
I guess to explain the doomsday clock that we had to fight against as well. Explain that,
Oh,
or one of y'all.
I don't know. Someone else maybe.
There's a counter involved as far as it's basically a countdown to the end of the world that starts depending on which elder god you're trying to stop from rising. Starts at a certain spot on the board. For us, it was I think 15 spaces back from end of the world. But each time the turn would end, they would get to move forward by default 1 space. But there's again, if there are a certain number of gates open, then it gets bonus moves. So if we weren't closing the gates fast enough, or even at the beginning of the game, even realizing we needed to be closing the gates, and then as we read over the rules saying, okay, the Doom counter moves forward 1, but if you have this many gates open, it moves forward 1 for each gate that's open. So it moves forward 4 more, and then that kind of speeds up the countdown that you're racing against.
Yeah, that was
that was
nightmare scenario.
That was a key error in our gameplay.
Right.
And so, what were some of the things that you didn't like about the game? Or is the game still too new for to say anything?
No, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. I enjoyed playing it. I didn't. Yeah, I can say I don't know enough about it to pick out.
Just belittling
like, I don't like
game
the way,
mechanics.
I thought the combat was maybe a little too complicated.
Yeah, at least
Or
as
maybe
far as
that
the
was
way
just-
we currently
I
understand
just didn't
it.
understand it at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, we may be playing it wrong for all we know.
Yeah, we may need to revise our approach to the combat.
There didn't seem to, and we kept looking it up, and there didn't seem to be a solid answer to how you fought. It wasn't like, do this to do this. It was just sort of, it was very vague, I thought.
Yeah.
But there's probably videos out there that maybe explain what it should be doing.
A closer reading of the rules.
Yeah,
It
right.
was pretty.
Without
It was
me.
pretty late in the evening at that point. We were trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a lot of Sam's meat during that adventure.
I think that contributed to us not understand that. Oh, I don't need to fight this monster. One thing that I really liked about this game is the randomness, and like every game you play, it's different because there's so many cards. I think like 200 to 300, something like that. So even if you play with the same ancient one, or every game is different because it's just based on the randomness of what cards you just pull that day. So that means like it just always changes.
Well, on top of that, how many expansion packs did you say you noted yesterday?
There were 8.
Oh, that's more than
Wow.
I had. Yeah,
That's
I didn't realize the game had been out long enough to have that many expansion packs,
I mean, I
which
think-
then means even more replayability as far as the number of additional player characters that they can add, or old ones, or other types of game mechanics and items and whatnot.
it would be curious to see.
Yeah, what those
Because
consist of.
I think before we started taping, and Martina says that we each need to get one.
Mhm.
One of the expansions.
Before
One of the expansion pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way you can bring it from the
Where did you, were they on? Can we,
I saw it on Wikipedia and they mentioned it, but I'm sure it's probably on Amazon.
Yeah,
You can get it,
everything's
or
there.
Walmart.com or something like that.
That's where I got this one.
Plug.
Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes, and I say that even though we're not getting any royalties from them for that.
Yeah. It's the key word.
Yeah. When they start getting flooded with customers, then they'll start, saying, hey, we need to advertise on here.
And I think another cool thing about this is that pretty much every card you pick, even when you try to get a card and like improve something, then it's all just like your destiny, what you roll, like if you don't, it just because you try to gain something doesn't mean you gain it, for example, a dagger or something, but then, or a spell, but it can actually like turn against you often, right? Like you can actually get certain condition if you fail. So it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, one thing we didn't end up exploring, to try to acquire the items, you can take out a bank loan and
Yeah.
acquire a debt from the bank, and then apparently that it come back to haunt you in various turns later, as far as now you turn it over and see how you have to go back paying back that debt. But nobody wanted to dip their toe into that. So.
It seems to be striking in monopoly territory right there.
Yeah,
So you can start loan money out. And
I didn't need that dagger this bad.
Yeah. It seems like it's an interesting concept, but it doesn't really strike me as being Lovecraftian.
Well, it depends, who you're making this deal with.
Mhm.
I kind of like if you're into this sort of thing, the Easter egg hunt involved in the game. Each one, it's not so blatant that everything is Lovecraft centered, but they do drop certain names and certain creatures, and it's not all just Lovecraft. It's also people who've expanded on his work, and they use some of it. You mentioned one of the creatures I didn't know you said was from another person's work that really had expanded on Lovecraft's mythos.
Yeah, it was Frank Bellup Nolan. I can't remember the creature's name, but he was from it was the Hounds of Telios. I can't pronounce that name right, but he was from one of them. Frank Bellup. He was part of the circle of Lovecraft, and probably one of his closest friends that he had and he wrote to. So I haven't looked at all the cards, but I'm sure there's some others.
Mhm.
There's got to be Tusogiga, how you say his name.
Oh, I imagine. As
Yes.
far as the more that we delve into it, we'll see a lot of,
A lot of the people you meet are related. I think you met Edward Darby. Maybe.
Yeah,
I think
I
one of the
know
cards
Darby's
you met. Yeah.
Wasn't there Pikmin?
Pikmin was in there. Pikmin was in there too.
So this shows up. So it's like in some ways it's very Lovecraft, but sometimes the characters didn't strike me as being very Lovecraftian.
No, and there weren't any specific as far as, it's this guy from this story or anything, as much as it was more like archetypes to make sure that there was a good mix of different types of characters and not everybody is a shadow, a private investigator carrying with a dark secret.
They had like an actress. They had that was a blues trumpeter. Was that your
That was
character?
mine.
You were a professor. It's just
from Miskatonic.
so that's
University.
one of the more
Oh, there we go.
Lovecraftian than them
Yeah.
all. And I guess mine was a reformed cultist. So I don't know how many reformed cultists are in Lovecraft's work and all that. But most of the time they pretty much die hard. And I'm not sure whether the characters were. What was your character?
Psychic.
The psychic.
Mhm.
That was just it, just psychic.
Mhm.
And I think there's an actress too, isn't there?
Chris was just, I think he was
He was.
just sort of prototype adventurer guy.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
felt. It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah,
more
that's
of
what he
a
was.
man of action adventurer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my special ability as the psychic was that I could help someone if one of you were fighting somewhere else and you were losing your health, I could like interrupt and like help you gain 1 health point back, which is like kind of on the distance, I was able to use my ability.
To travel through your astral form to
Mhm.
the battle.
Yeah.
And so what mysteries remain of this game that, like unanswered questions, when you're playing, you're still trying to figure out?
Well, there were those rumor cards that we
Mhm.
apparently didn't use correctly. And then there's some Eldritch tokens that we're still a little puzzled by.
How to find
How
monsters.
exactly what it means.
Yeah.
How to win.
I'd say that as far as, there's still, some odds and ends as far as, again, little bits, like I said, those kind of various tokens that seemed like it wasn't clear where they came into play. And then as we were playing, I think we still haven't quite figured them out. There's some Eldritch tokens that have multiple purposes depending on what type style of game you're playing or what you're playing. And I think we may not have deployed those the way that you're supposed to according to the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently they go on that omen track.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
and that was where we were. Were we supposed to be putting those?
yeah, we had cards saying like remove one or something from the omen track. You know,
Yeah.
like, there's not one there to begin with.
There are certain things we haven't played with, but I think it's because we didn't really get cards that would tell us to do it. So like, yeah, we didn't place those rumor tokens or place Eldritch tokens on the Mythos card list, you know. So, but I think that wasn't us, that was the game.
Yes, that was a failure of the game. None of us as players.
Yes.
The action phase is really important because even though there's 3 phases, the other 2 phases are basically just things happening to you, and you really have no control over other than making them not happen or like something bad happening to you.
Rolling to prevent something terrible from happening to you.
Yeah.
So you really have to use your action phase wisely and not, roll for things that you can't get.
Right.
That's what I did a lot. And you want to try to avoid getting maladies or, madnesses because because you need to use one of your actions. Yeah, you get 2 actions per round. So you end up having to use one of your actions to try to get rid of your. You can have psychoses and hallucination.
Amnesia.
And what happened to you at it was like, one become like a dark pack or something?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I'm trying to remember exactly. You get these cards if you fail on a roll, and each card has 2 phases to it. So you hold the card, and on each action, you can use one of your action turns to try to get rid of it. But it's really hard because you only get 1 die to try and roll a 5 or a 6. So if you don't do that, you have to continue to hold the card through every round. And at the end, at the Mythos round, when the card is drawn, you have to roll against your malady card. And if you fail it, then you have to flip it over and read what it has. And it's usually like something built on to what you already had. So I had, I guess I had a madness from hallucinations, and then I failed on the roll. And when I flipped it over, I had a dark pact, and you can't get rid of dark pact. You have it for the entire game, and you have to roll against it at each Mythos round. And if you fail it, I think you're pretty much just done for the game.
Oh, speaking of, as far as your character, if it used to come to madness or die or that kind of thing, you are able then to respawn as a different player, but then you lose, say, if you've acquired this treasure chest of items or followers or that kind of thing, those are all gone. And so you're you're starting fresh, but at least you're not at that point saying, well, I'm going to go hang out somewhere else while you won't finish the game.
But then there is this other cool thing that if one of us died, which didn't happen, but if you just put your character down and you leave all the assets there, so whoever from us would get on the spot, we could on the same space, then one of the actions we could use is to gain one of those assets.
And we forgot to do that discard pile. We just kind of put it back in.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
I
That's
remember
another fault.
Chris was like, he had a chance to get some from the discard pile. And he's like,
no discard.
There is none.
There's nothing for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess y'all be willing to play it again sometime then.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, we probably will someday. And so what were some of the highlights from the game that you like? Is there any really outstanding, funny or wacky moments from there that y'all remember?
I think standing perpetually.
Losing sanity.
Perpetually, it seemed as though every encounter turn he would be, afflicted with a different malady, and he had more of those than he did assets. As far as say, I've got this, book of spells or a magic dagger, and say, because I have paranoia, and I have a bad back, and I have madness. We would try to get rid of one, and then get another one after that.
And I think my character, who we never got to meet, had like, was it Sanctuary? Could you like ward away a lot of that
Yeah,
stuff.
that was-
Oh yeah, you could have helped him had you ever shared the same space with him. Which again is why cooperative gameplay is very
But we
important.
were, never like ever close.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can trade your items with the other players as well. So if someone had something that would benefit, say as far as I've got something that would help me fight, but I'm not a good fighter, then you could give it to another character who is a good fighter in exchange for them providing you with an item that's more helpful to you.
I guess we should explain that the board game is basically a map of the world.
Oh, right.
And basically every character starts off at some point that has some significance to them. Like your character was a New Orleans musician, so it was in New Orleans.
I think he was, wasn't it? Technically, he was in the Deep South.
Deep South. Yeah. And my character was in South America, I guess Central America. He's kind of in that limbo area there.
Mhm.
So yeah. And what's
I was in Arkham. Started in Arkham.
Of course.
I guess the only sort of.
Yeah.
Well, are there any more?
I think there are some that seem pulled from Lovecraft mythos as opposed to just being a standard, your Londons and your Tokyos and that kind of thing.
And where was your character?
I think it was in San Francisco. I can't remember. I don't know. I know it was in America also. So I was surprised that we all actually, by how randomized it was, most of us were actually on the same continent. So that was pretty cool. However, we didn't know how we should really, that we should walk together to places instead of just.
Right.
So.
Well, live and learn, I guess.
Right. But that was
We'll do
my
better next
favorite
time.
part of the game was when towards the end we finally knew like we're supposed to go and have a certain goal, same goal together, and we were finally proceeding there. And when we realized, okay, we're doing this, we have to close this, and we're almost like we had enough cards. We only needed like one more card to win the game, maybe win the game. I guess you'll never know. But then it was just too late. Like when we finally knew what we should be doing, it was too late. We had too many gates open, and Doomtrick was just crazily progressing, and just killed us.
Yeah, we were on the third card
Yeah.
for the mythos, and we had we need like 4
I
of
think
those
so.
Clues
Eldritch
and
tokens.
the Eldritch tokens, and I think we had like
2.
1 or 2 on them.
2.
And so it was like we were
Yeah.
close. We were close. We could have won.
Yeah.
But close only counts on horseshoes and hand grenades. Doesn't count when the elder gods are involved.
No.
And right, have any final words you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
If we're doing an official review of it, then as far as yes, I would definitely recommend the game, particularly if you're a fan of this style of game. These more complex style board games. I can see as far as if you're not used to playing those types of games, there's a lot to get your head around. But if you're accustomed to that style of game, it's not the learning curve's not that bad. And if you're into this type of content and that type of thing, the Eldritch horror, then you'll definitely enjoy it.
What about you, Vince?
I agree with everything Richard said, and also I would recommend it. And also, like I said at the beginning, that it don't be daunted by all the cards and all the. It's really very easy to play. You only use specific things in specific rounds, and you do it in an order, so it's not just things coming out of
Right.
nowhere,
Yeah,
and
right.
you have to like, okay, I moved 2 spaces, so now I have to do this, and
Mhm.
okay, so since I did that, I have to do this. It's really, each thing sort of flows into the next.
What about you?
Yeah.
You regret buying it?
I agree with that. Yeah. I do. So I actually really like, we didn't mention, that each card just has so much like written on it, and it moves the story forward. I just love the creativity of it, the way how the game is written. Like that's one of the best parts of it, I think. Also,
And those are the ones where I have like the location on them. You pick it up and read your location.
these are Mythos cards,
Those
but
are
yeah,
cards.
we have those too. So I like how complex it is, and yeah, it seemed complicated at first when I was trying to read the rules, but then I think as we all sit down and then we just did few rounds, then like the beginning, kind of the first round took us a little longer, but then after that it was easy. So
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is just jump in and start playing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the times, as you've
Right.
saying, the cards will really tell you what you need to know. Once you know how the game is played, you'll pick the card up, and it's pretty much telling you, okay, this is the encounter that's happening to you, so do this, and this is what will happen. And see, versus you having to go back and look at the rule book for every single move that you make.
All right, so I do have some questions about you about Lovecraft I want to ask you, Martina. Since English is not your natural language, did you find Lovecraft difficult to read? You know, when you first started?
Yes, I did. But actually, I love languages, so it really fascinates me, how it was written. But that's why I haven't read too many novels, because I have really hard time reading it because it's written in this old way, right? And the words are like, it's good for me to improve my vocabulary, but I don't know, like the words are really complicated, like not out of just average English vocabulary nowadays. So
he uses a lot of obsolete and antiquated words.
Yeah, which I always like in my native language. I love those words and I usually use them actively just for fun. But yeah, it was like I had to read a sentence and like every 3 sentences I had to look up the word, so which is not much fun.
And so did you know about him when you lived in Slovakia, or was it somebody came to the United States and heard about him?
Yeah, I learned about him here. I haven't heard about him before.
And how did you first hear of him?
From just you all, I think talking to Sam, he said you all are talking about Lovecraft, and I watched one of your podcasts, and yeah.
So, oh wow.
Yeah,
we got a
thanks to
convert.
you.
I didn't know anyone was listening.
Yeah. Don't say that. We got thousands of listeners.
Right.
But yeah, so it's so we made an impact on somebody's life. All right.
No, but
If you can
I
reach
found
just one person,
Well,
you've
you
made a
did.
difference.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go on.
I do find him fascinating just because, like, the more I learned about him, even before I even read like anything that he wrote, it's just interesting, just his impact, on the whole, like, pretty much just how he influenced the whole literature and cinematography and everything, and just like general, like how many people have all these ideas about creatures and monsters and they have no idea it comes from Lovecraft. Like he was the father of so many things.
I think we're living in an age where more people are familiar with his monsters than they are familiar with him.
Yeah.
And so your sister, when she bought the game,
Mm-hmm.
did you tell her about Lovecraft, or how did she?
Well, her boyfriend loves board games like this, so he knew about the Lovecraft, and so he introduced her to this. So when I got this game and I was playing it alone, I was always consulting stuff with them over the phone, so to make sure I'm doing it right. So yeah, but she hasn't read anything, so he's not very. I don't know why he's not well known, like in Slovakia. Maybe he's elsewhere in Europe, but I don't know.
He's big in Britain, I know, and I think the
Yeah,
French like
but
him.
it's more like English culture, so yeah, I don't know.
I think when we interviewed Josie, he said that they just recently translated Lovecraft into French, and I'm just wondering how well that held up.
Oh, cool.
How would it be the same effect?
Mhm.
Like, how do you replace an antiquated American word, with you use an antiquated French word or something?
Yeah, or with the various the elder god names just stay the same because there's not really an equivalent as far as we don't have a word for that in our language.
Anyway, I guess I'll wrap this up. I see the stars are no longer right. Once again, must cease all discussion until they align again next month. 30 plus minutes of H.P. Lovecraft is secretly sponsored by the Mystery Token. Just what does that piece do? This podcast was created in association with LovecraftPod.com and the Logan Speculative Fiction Group with the help of the Logan County Public Library and the Great Old Ones. Special thanks to Katie Tyson for her Technocraft and Joshua Dukes for his Mawa. You can listen to past episodes on anchor.fm/LCPL. You can reach us at mark@lovecraftpod.com or Richard at lovecraftpod.com. Until we meet again, may you avoid the wrath of Baby Cthulhu.